everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Rugby with Pads. I am your host, Sam, and today we are continuing our tier list of all of the divisions. Not doing the divisions themselves, because obviously there are some that are better than others, but instead we are taking a look through all of the teams and all of your fancy relevant players. And today we are going to be looking... We're into our final two, guys. We are into the East. We are going to take a look first at the AFC East, and next week, maybe it'll probably be earlier than that, we're going to be taking a look at the NFC East, possibly the strongest in the whole league. I don't think you can say the same for the AFC East, but let's see how it plays out. Anyway, before I start rambling even more, let's get into it, and let's start with the New England Patriots, who I think are a very interesting side this year and potentially won the off-season. Did they win the fantasy off-season, however? Drake May, let's start there. I think Drake May has something about him, and he is not Tom Brady. He is not the next great thing. He is good, though, and I think he showed enough in the ability to move around the pocket and deliver accurate balls that he is a potential league winner. And we'll go over this in the episode after we've done the whole tiers and look at the whole tier and kind of start to separate out some players a little bit further. But the gut feeling is that he has the potential to be a league winner. He's more than a late round value. He's not quite in the Bo Nix category for me, in the fact that he's really shown something and he's got the cast around him, because he definitely doesn't have the cast around him, and we'll get into that in a second. But I don't think he's bad. Running back room, however, I think has got better, and I don't agree that Ramondre Stevenson is the RB workhorse that you want here. Ramondre Stevenson, I think, has some flex value here. I don't think much more than that, really. The guy I'm interested in is Trevion Henderson. I think his ability to pass catch, and I don't think he'll come out of the gates hot. I think he is one of those guys who is a sleeper hybrid. I think he's got the ability to come out of the gates slow, learn the game a little bit, and get comfortable with everything, and then he'll gain more and more share of the ball, more and more share of the reps of the first team, and eventually become a 3-down guy, because that's what he was in college. He was fantastic in college, and that's how he was hopefully drafted as well. So I'm really excited to see how he pans out, especially when I think the Ramondre experiment, since he's gotten paid, has gone downhill. They've kept him on, I think, more as a necessity than anything else. And he's not bad, but he's not great. And I don't think either of these guys really excel, because the O-line is still a bit clapped, if I'm being honest. And I'm not really seeing anything being anything moving forward on that one. The wide receiver room has gotten better, and I do think Stephon Diggs could be a absolute target horse, or I don't know. Despite his questionable personal life and pink substances, let's call it. I don't think maybe they're vitamins. I don't know, but whatever he was handing out and being called, or what he was being called, Stephon Diggs is a really good player. He's obviously struggled the last couple of years, and not really gotten the volume he needs, but he is a guy who can play well in the slot. Yes, he hasn't looked great in the offseason. Some people have said other people look good. I think he's going to turn up, and I think he is the kind of player who will win you games, win you weeks, but not in the way you think. He's not going to be the number one read every time, but I think he's going to be enough of a guy who's open and clever and can use the space effectively and plays his game, that he will be a target monster and potential league winner for you. Outside of that, I think Kyle Williams could become the guy on the outside, potentially the number 2. I would see how it goes. Everyone else I'm not really kind of seeing. I'm going to put the other Pats wide receivers in my ignored part. I just can't really see how they're going to separate themselves in the pack. Demario Douglas, yes, he's good. Matt Collins, yes, he's a locker room guy. Keyshawn Butte has been there long enough. Kendrick Bourne has got pedigree, but Jalen Polk, Javon Baker, so many of these guys are going to get cut. And I just don't see who it's going to be. So for the time being, I'm thinking Kyle Williams, 3rd-round pedigree, interesting prospect. Stephon Diggs has been brought in to be a number 1, but I think more to support the development of Drake May. Do I think he'll be around for a long time? No. Do I think he'll be around for a good time? Yes, I do. So that's where I'm putting him in the league winner. But this isn't exciting. And neither is the tight end room, and I'm not really favouring any of them. Hunter Henry is so touchdown dependent. Let's have a look at his stats, because if anyone, the only one I'm going to be considering is Hunter Henry, but they use a lot of heavy sets to get through. Obviously, with Vrabel there now, I think we're probably going to see a bit more of that even still. He has not done badly, and if I kind of compare him to other guys, he's in that kind of range of Schultz and Gesicki maybe, but he's not as nearly as talented. Could he have one of those seasons where he breaks out? Yeah, he's had seasons where he's had 9 touchdowns in New England. He had 8 for San Diego before they went to LA. And he was always a consistent performer. He's always going to sit around that 500-600 mark. He's always got a decent amount of targets. He got a lot of targets last year when Drake May came in there. So for that reason alone, I'm kind of putting in Hunter Henry into this flex value position. But are you happy if he's your guy? No. But are you happy if a lot of these tight ends are your guys? No. But you're going to have to be them, because one of the positions is going to have to make way for the others, and it's probably going to be tight end this year once more, in my opinion. Okay, moving through. Dolphins, Miami Dolphins. Everyone wants to play in Miami, don't they? Apparently not. Jonnu Smith going, Jalen Ramsey going. It's a very different looking team here. A very different looking offense here. Tua Tagovailoa, although everyone around him is great, I can't put him in anything above streamer because of availability. Availability is the best ability, and I just don't want him on my team. Yes, he could have a spike matchup and they could have a great time, but also they could go play Kansas City in December and be rubbish, because that's what they do. They collapse under pressure later down the stretch. He is not someone I want to rely on in my team at all. Yes, I think he could be okay, but one headshot and he's gone, and he's going to get them because he not only was the offensive line not great last year, but he also walked himself into pressure far too many times, and that's why you saw a very ugly game. And if you're looking at Zach Wilson, Quinn Ewers and Brett Gabbert to be your saviours, you're not looking pretty. Devon A-Chain, he's good. I'm just going to say it. He's really good. Yeah. They brought in Ollie Gordon, Jaden Wright last year. I don't really see them having the potential to be there. I think with vacated targets is always a really interesting position to be in, because we lost Jonnu Smith. I don't know how many targets he got last year, but it felt like a lot, and very much targeted in the end zone. Traditionally, in the next year, vacated targets, more than 70% of them go to the running back, or the running back position or area and stuff like that. That's if you're losing someone net. I think they have lost someone net because I don't think Darren Waller is going to be nearly as good. Yeah, he is more athletic. He's more, it sounds weird, more athletic than Jonnu Smith, who is a monster himself. But I do think that Devon A-Chan is still going to keep up with the targets and keep up with everything. Yes, he's not going to be maybe quite as explosive. He's going to be used more, but he's in my top 10. And I don't think there's any doubt there. So Devon A-Chan is the guy I want there. I'm ignoring everyone else because I don't know who the handcuff is. I don't know who else it could be, and I don't think any of these guys are going to get drafted in any kind of sensible redraft format. So I'm not even going to talk about the rest of the running back room over there in Miami. Wide receiver room is really interesting to me, though. Who is it going to be? Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Tyreek Hill is currently being drafted as like the wide receiver 33 because obviously he had a dip last year. Jalen Waddle has been increased, but I think, again, think about vacated targets, think about vacated end zone opportunities. These guys have it, and I think if you can get it going, they can still be good. So I'm putting league winner for both Waddle and I'm going to call him Tyreek because everyone calls him Tyreek. There's too many Hills in the league. Outside of that, I think Malik Washington does stand a chance to have a bit of a breakdown. I'm very glad I got him in a trade with someone in Dynasty for Quentin Johnson. That was I think a bit of a coup for me there. So I was really happy with that. But he's not going to be a breakout, but I think he's got a chance. If either of those two guys goes down, he is the next guy up in a 2-receiver set. I still think he has a skill sets to be independently useful as well. I think it's going to take some time to bed in, and they're going to take some time to see how it's all going to work out. And once again, no, going into the pile here of tight ends. Do I think Darren Waller, who's been out of the league, how long has he been out of the league for? 2 years? 1 year? Has he only been gone one? I can't remember. Last played in 2013, didn't play last year. 2013, he did okay, but only one touchdown. He's only really had one amazing season, and that was an amazing season in Vegas where he got 9 touchdowns. The year before that, 3 touchdowns, but over 1,000 yards. He's not a consistent guy. He was injured consistently. That was the only consistent thing that we have seen out of him. He's being ignored in mine, and I know in Dynasty where we clamour over everything, Darren Waller is being taken off the waiver wire consistently. However, I'm just not believing it. Okay, before I even go on to the next team, what's your opinion on Josh Allen, guys? He's great. And I don't know how to differentiate him with Lamar, but he is just going straight up into my top tier here. Josh Allen, do we have to say anything more? He's the size of a tank. He runs it in. How many rushing touchdowns did he get last year? I feel like it was a stupid amount. Let's have a look at his rushing totals here. 12 rushing touchdowns, 15 the year before. Yeah, he is the running back one of the Buffalo Bills. And for that reason, I talked to him about first with James Cook in mind. James Cook, was it 18 touchdowns last season? There is regression there. But can he be good? Yes, he can. Can he be as good? I don't think so. There's a reason they're not paying him. I don't think James Cook has the potential to be a league winner. And that's, I think there is going to be such a regression for him. And let's take a look at his stats here. His history just doesn't speak off the page to me. 16 touchdowns last year. The year before, same amount of games, more touches, 2 touchdowns. The year before that, there's really less touchdowns, touches, a lot less yards, 2 touchdowns. His usage was such a freak last year that I can't see it working. And yes, beforehand he had Devin Singletary he was competing with. I don't know that, but you could see it on the volume. He could still, on that level of volume, 200 plus touches, he could still only score 2. It just so happened that last year something weird happened and all the running touchdowns came to him. It was so lucky. I just don't think you can rely on that year on year on year. And I think the regression is going to hit so hard. I can predict him maybe 8 touchdowns, but then you compare that 8 touchdowns to some other people you've got in this lineup as well. K9, Pacheco, Joe Mixon, Montgomery in this tier. He sits around there. And I can't see him sitting with the high heights of Kyron Williams, Kamara for the receiving game. Yes, he's got a bit more receiving. Jonathan Taylor, Chase Brown. He doesn't have that extra something. He's a slower version of Dalvin Cook, and Dalvin Cook faded fast as well. Obviously, he's a lot younger, but I'm still not seeing it, guys, and you can't convince me otherwise. Ray Davis is an interesting handcuff, but not interesting enough for me to put on here. I'm not kind of considering him in my thoughts for any kind of redraft. The wide receiver room, again, it's just not been invested in, has it? Khalil Shakir is interesting because Khalil Shakir, I think, despite in half PPR, this is, I think, I'll talk about this. I read a stat somewhere that his top performance was like wide receiver 38 ever. And you kind of look at his usage and you think, what? Why is that? He has no touchdowns. 4 touchdowns, 76 receptions last year on 100 targets. That's incredibly efficient. Only 821 yards. 10.8. His average to target is short. He is a volume guy. He's a floor play. He has flex value. That's it. He is the wide receiver 1 in their system, but he only has flex value because the touchdowns get distributed all over the place. Do I think there's going to be more touchdowns available in this future? Yes, I do. Do I think there's going to be more touchdowns going elsewhere as well? Yes, I also think that. I think Dalton Kincaid could have a resurgence. Dawson Knox, Keon Coleman, Josh Palmer, I think is going to be interesting. And Josh Palmer is going to go into my Josh Palmer and Keon Coleman are going to go into my sleeper bracket. Yeah, they are going to be nigh on undrafted because we don't know what's happening there. But I think they have more physical talents than Khalil Shakir. But Khalil Shakir just has that such strong floor that you want him on your team. Even if you don't like having him on your team, he is going to get you points week on week in, especially in PPR. He's probably going to be around the wide receiver 25, which is why he's in the flex and the value conversation here. But this is an offense, we've already talked about it, that runs through Josh Allen. If we go back and take a look at Josh Allen's passing stats, I don't think they're bad. They are not bad at all. Nearly 4,000 yards last year. The seasons before, 4,000. I don't know how he managed to get MVP last year when statistically from a passing perspective he was much lower, and he was lower on rushing touchdowns than Lamar as well. Yet he got it, and I think maybe it's more of a narrative base. He's not the biggest thrower of the ball. He has to throw it a lot, but his average depth of target is actually quite shallow. It's 7 yards per attempt. Actually, that's pretty. 7 yards per completion. That's pretty good. But his completion percentage is kicking around the 60s as well. It's solid, but it's not great. And that's why, despite him being amazing for fantasy, he is not the football messiah necessarily. He knows how to play the game, but in terms of raw stats, he's not a football messiah, which is why he's where he is. I'm going to have to put in the sleepers. I'm going to put Kincaid. I think he could have. There is always a chance for his resurgence. Knox is a blocker and used in red zone, so he's not someone I'm going to be paying attention to in there. And despite the Bills being a fantastic team, the only guy I could really shout about and say yes, go get this guy is Josh Allen, and you are going to be paying a premium for him. Finally, let's move on to the Jets. The Jets is less exciting, but I think more exciting with Justin Fields. And yet again, I'm probably going to regret this. Justin Fields is going in my league winner category. Yes, he hasn't shown it. I know. But new coach, new system, faith in him, paid. I just feel like he's got the raw talent to be able to do it. I just don't think he had the system when he was in Chicago. Rubbish system, didn't work for him. He was made to scramble. Had to hold on to the ball for a long time. That's not what they want to do in Jets world. They want to get rid of the ball quickly. That's how it worked well when it was working under Aaron Rodgers. That's, I think, what they're going to focus on now. Get the ball out to your guys, and your guys are going to be Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, and potentially Mason Taylor as well, who I think could have a really interesting season. We'll get onto that in a minute. Justin Fields can run as well. He opens up the game for Breece Hall, and that play action, play run kind of system, action run, well, I don't want to call it, that they tried to install with Aaron Rodgers, and it didn't quite work in the right way. You can really open up with Justin Fields because he gives you that threat. Imagine, it's more like Shanahan, isn't it? Who's going to run? It could be any one of three guys. And I think that's the kind of system they're going to play. So Justin Fields has potential to be a very deep sleeper. I think you'll get him towards the end of your drafts, if not undrafted, but could be a very valuable QB2 if you have him, and it could be even better than your QB1s on any given week, just for that running upside. I do think Breece Hall is going to have a resurgence. Yes, he's had a naff couple of seasons. I think he's only been in this. He's only been in for a couple of seasons. He's never got above 5 touchdowns. Yes, last year I thought was consistent. It felt like he was good, but he just shared opportunities here, and he had quite a few fumbles. It gets rid of that, and it gets a better running game, which I do think he'll get under Justin Fields. I think he could be a league winner. I really do. And that's just not name value alone. Yes, he is going to be drafted incredibly high because of his name value. But I do think he could be a fantastic addition. And if I get the option to poach him at the right time, I'm going to do it. I think a lot of people will be scared because it's the Jets. Garrett Wilson is going to be a locked-in one. Think back at when you had him in college. Was it Ohio State, I think, when him and Justin Fields were connected? That relationship between college and the pros, I think, can come out. And Garrett Wilson is by far and away the most talented guy on this team. Everyone else, though, I don't know where it is. And I think this is going to be a very similar shape to the Cardinals. So I'm going to put other Jets wide receivers here as being a bit of a catch-all. But I think this is going to be a very similar situation to the Cardinals, just not quite as useful. And I think someone who could be a potential league winner for you is Mason Taylor. I'm not going to put him there because I don't think I would want to bank on that. But I think Mason Taylor... You know what? It's nice to have some bold takes sometimes. Mason Taylor, I do think, has potential to be a league winner for opportunity alone. You look at who else is there: Zach Kuntz, Stone Smart, Jeremy Ruckert. Even in the wide receiver room, what's your competition? Alan Lazard? No. Josh Reynolds is possibly the only, even vaguely, but I'm not interested in him. Malachi Corley, who I think is going to be a cut. Xavier Gibson, who is a return man. Rest of the guys I don't even know. Arian Smith, Tyler Johnson, who's bounced around from team to team, has been spot starts at best. Irvin Childs, Brandon Smith. These all feel like creator team names. Mason Taylor is the only other viable pass catcher that I can see. And yes, it's going to be a shallow passing tree because you're going to be thinking, is it the running back? Is it the wide receiver? Is it the tight end? The Mason Taylor's going to be out there a lot. And I think he's going to have a Tucker Kraft style performance where just being out there gives him the ability to do well. Those are your 4 teams, guys. But let's take a look at them position by position. Obviously, in the NFC East, your main guy for any position, regardless, is Josh Allen. He could go in the first in a lot of leagues because a lot of people believe on how much better he is than so many other players. But you have 2 other potential. You don't have anyone else locked in, but 2 guys who have the potential to be league winners here in Drake May. I'm going to give him his full title here, and Justin Fields. I think both of them have various. I think Justin Fields is far more volatile. Drake May is far more of a floor play, but both of them could be very good. And I'm streaming Tua. I just don't believe in the availability on him. The running back room is a bit suspect in the NFC, as in the AFC East, sorry. A-Chain, I think just opportunity alone is there for him. Trevion Henderson and Breece Hall, I'm considering as league winners for both for different reasons. Breece Hall as a return to what he was expected to be, and I think opening up the running game there. Trevion Henderson, I think, could be great for those passing play, and they just need a bit of life in that team as well. Ramondre consistently is a workhorse, yes, but I don't think he's a particularly efficient workhorse and not someone I would want to rely upon. He's still got that flex position value. James Cook, same. I think there's going to be a massive regression for him, and that's why I can't see him above anything else. And Braylon Allen is going to be a handcuff number 1. He showed glimpses of how good he can be last year for the Jets, and I'd continue to see that. Wide receiver is a bit of a mixed bag. It's just middle of the park here. Garrett Wilson is a locked-in wide receiver 1. He can't be an elite hands for me because I don't think the quarterback play is going to be good enough in the throwing game. But you've got league winners in the likes of Stephon Diggs, Waddle, and Tyreek, all for different reasons. Stephon Diggs, I think, is going to be a pure volume play, PPR monster, but I wouldn't rely upon it. I think his volatility is really high. Waddle and Tyreek, I think, have so much opportunity available to them, especially in the red zone. Think about how many times you were sniped by Jonnu Smith. Jonnu effing Smith. Anyway, he's gone, and Waddle and Tyreek could be those guys. Again, heavily dependent on Tua, though. And Bills, it's Khalil Shakir as a floor player, no one else. And you say he's the number 1 on Bills. Great offense. Is it a great offense, though? Not for the passing game. He sits in the flex value spot. There are plenty of sleepers, though. Kyle Williams, Malik Washington, Josh Palmer, and Keon Coleman all have the opportunity to secure a number 2 slot if the opportunity arises, and that's why they're in their sleeper category. But I'm ignoring all of the Jets wide receivers and all other Pats wide receivers because it is messy and I don't like it. There is no one really to write home about in the tight end space. I do think there is a low-end league winner in Mason Taylor. A lot has got to happen. You've got to put a lot of faith in that team. There's a lot of ifs there, but if, it could be great. Hunter Henry has flex value just from, he's a solid play, uninspiring. You don't really care. He could give you a couple of duds, but he could give you a couple of goods, and that's what you want out of a tight end too, potentially. Dalton Kincaid still has the opportunity to break out once more from what he did in his, was it rookie or second season? Anyway, he did great at one point, but I'm ignoring Waller and Knox. I think there's just other guys in there as well, and not someone who I'm interested in drafting. And guys, that is your lot. That is the AFC, not the NFC East, the AFC East, formerly one of the best divisions in football, although the Jets and the Dolphins have never really got going, but the Bills now rule where the Pats used to. Pats now drool, but possibly the most improved side looking at the fantasy layout this year. Thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate if you're listening, you've watched this on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, give us a comment, all of that fun stuff. If you've enjoyed this kind of content, please let me know. If you want to support the pod, at RugbyPads, all the socials, rugbypads.com. You can get yourself a membership for a little £1, get yourself some discounted merch as well, and it shows that what we're doing here is good as well. And we do try and give back. I'm going to announce next week how much money we've been able to get back to charity through this endeavour and through league dues that the site runs as well. Site, it's me. Anyway, as I said, thank you so much. I always say thank you so much, because if you even spent 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes listening to any of my content, it's really appreciated. You've given it your time, I've given it my time. It's a mutual exchange here. With that, thank you again so much, and I will see you all very soon on the Petrol Good Time.